You're looking at a dresser that cost $300. In 5 years, it's in a landfill. Not because you were rough with it, because it was built to get there. The screws that hold that dresser together are threading into particle board, compressed sawdust, and glue. And every time you open that drawer, those screws chew through a little more. Meanwhile, there are Amish-built dressers sitting in farmhouses right now that are over 100 years old and don't have a single wobble in them. The difference isn't the wood. It's a joint most factories quietly stopped using decades ago. Think about the last time a drawer started sticking, or a leg started rocking, or you pushed down on a shelf and felt it give just a little. That moment felt like wear. You just used the thing too hard. You didn't. That was the joint failing on schedule. Most furniture sold today isn't built from wood. It's built from particle board, which is compressed sawdust mixed with adhesive resin, pressed into flat sheets, then wrapped in a printed film that looks like wood grain from 3 feet away. That film is so good now that most people never question it. But peel it back, and what you've got is basically a dense cardboard panel holding your clothes. Here's what's actually happening at the joint. The screws that hold particle board together don't grip fiber the way they grip solid wood. They grip compressed dust, and every time you load weight onto that shelf or pull that drawer open, those screws micro-rotate inside the hole and chew it a little wider. 6 months in, the hole is already loose. 2 years in, the joint has measurable play you can feel with your hand. 5 years in, the whole piece rocks on a flat floor. And this isn't a flaw. That's the part that changes how you see all of it. A furniture engineer knows exactly how many open and close cycles a camlock fastener, which is the little barrel and pin connector you twist together when you build flat-pack furniture, can handle before it strips out. They build to that number, not past it. The industry calls this design life. It's the number of years a product is built to function before it fails. And for most flat-pack furniture, that number sits between 3 and 7 years. That's not a secret. It's written into the product spec. You just weren't shown the spec. There's a wooden joint sitting in a museum right now that's over 7,000 years old. Still intact. Not restored, not reconstructed. Just the original wood and the original fit, holding the same way it did when someone cut it by hand thousands of years ago. That joint is called a mortise and tenon. The mortise is a rectangular hole cut into one piece of wood. The tenon is a carved tongue on the end of another piece that fits exactly into that hole. And when you press them together, the wood fibers at the contact surfaces interlock at a microscopic level. No screw, no cam lock. The wood itself is the fastener. Here's what makes this different from a screw, and it's not just the material. It's physics. A screw transfers load to a tiny ring of material right around the fastener hole, so all the stress concentrates in one small spot. A mortise and tenon spreads that same load across the full contact surface of the joint, which on a chair leg or a dresser corner runs 4 to 6 square inches of solid wood pressing directly against solid wood. White oak cut this way can handle up to 4,000 pounds per square inch in shear, which is the force trying to slide the joint apart sideways. A nailed joint in the same wood fails at roughly a third of that number. The shoulders of the tenon are what stop racking. Racking is what happens when a rectangular frame gets pushed sideways and wants to fold into a parallelogram, and every time you lean back in a chair, you're applying exactly that force. The shoulders bear directly against the face of the joint and absorb it. Amish woodworkers still cut these joints, some by hand, some with a hollow chisel mortiser depending on the shop. Either way, the fit has to be snug enough to hold under load, but loose enough that the wood can expand with humidity without splitting the mortised piece. By 2005, the US imported more furniture than it made. The math was simple. Labor overseas cost a fraction of domestic labor, and that gap went straight to margin. But here's the problem with moving solid wood joinery overseas. It still requires skilled labor. A mortise and tenon joint cut to proper tolerance takes time, and that time doesn't compress no matter where the factory sits. So the industry didn't just move production, it changed the product. Particle board and MDF replaced solid wood because they're cheap, dimensionally stable, and fast to machine. Camlock fasteners replaced joinery because an unskilled worker can assemble a unit in under 2 minutes. The whole flat pack model, where you buy it, build it, watch it fail, and buy another, got engineered around that assembly speed. Your convenience had nothing to do with it. Now look at what that shift actually cost you. A solid hardwood dresser built with mortise and tenon joinery in the 1960s might have run the equivalent of $800 to $1,200 in today's dollars, and that same dresser, maintained normally, is still in someone's bedroom right now. A $300 particle board dresser bought in 2018 is statistically headed for a landfill by 2025. You didn't save money. You paid $300 to rent a dresser for 7 years. The furniture industry runs this math in their revenue projections. A customer who buys a $300 dresser every 6 years generates more repeat revenue than a customer who buys one $900 dresser and never comes back. The business model depends on the failure. That's not an accident. That's design. You don't need a woodworking background to spot the difference between a piece built to last and one built to a price point. There are 4 things you can check in under 2 minutes in any showroom or on any product listing, and none of them require you to take anything apart. First, pull out a drawer and look at the corners. A drawer built to last uses dovetail joints, which are interlocking triangular cuts that look like a row of teeth along the corner seam. You can see them from the side when the drawer's out. A drawer built cheap uses a staple gun and a bead of glue, so you'll see a flat seam or a visible staple line. The dovetail can't pull apart under load because the geometry physically locks it. The stapled corner will, and it's just a matter of when. Second, push down on the frame and listen. A solid wood mortise and tenon frame absorbs load silently because the joint compresses and holds. A frame built with cam locks and particle board creaks because the fastener is already moving inside the hole. That creak isn't the wood settling. It's the joint failing in slow motion. Third, look at the grain. Solid wood has grain that runs continuously through each board and varies slightly from piece to piece. Particle board wrapped in wood grain film has a pattern that repeats, so you'll see the same knot or the same figure showing up at regular intervals across the surface. Real wood doesn't repeat. Once you've seen this, you'll notice it every time. Fourth, ask the salesperson what joinery the frame uses. If they can't answer, or if the answer is corner blocks and screws, that's your answer. Corner blocks aren't joinery. They're a patch bolted onto a weak connection to buy it a few extra years before it gives out. Brands that use mortise and tenon construction will tell you up front, because it's the one thing they have that the big box store down the street doesn't. A $900 sofa on clearance that lasts 30 years costs you $30 a year. A $500 sofa that lasts 6 years costs you $83 a year. The piece that fails any of these 4 checks is the one that hits a landfill right on the manufacturer's schedule.